This is the GTN Show. Now then, Heather, I've got a question for you. Have you ever wondered who has got the strongest hearts out of swimmers or runners?
Gosh, I mean, swimmers spend far more hours training, but then runners, I think from my personal experience, get their heart rates higher, so I don't know.
Well, you will have to wait and find out because we'll be revealing all in today's show.
Cool, well, I've got a question back at you, Mark. When it comes to running, what is better? Running with your arms bent or your arms straight?
Definitely bent arms, obviously.
Well, who knows actually on either of these. We're going to be looking into these two topics later on. We've also got some exciting futuristic looking goggles as well as some brilliant cycling Assos kit to give away. There have been numerous studies that looked at the differences in heart efficiency and remodelling in land-based sports. A recent study has taken it a step further, and it's actually looking at the comparison of elite runners' hearts compared to elite swimmers' hearts.
Well, it is actually well known that high-level athletes have long-term adaptations to their heart in terms of its size, strength, and efficiency, with particular emphasis on the left ventricle, which is the ventricle that basically pumps that freshly oxygenated blood around the body and to those muscles.
Yeah, well, many studies have looked at the difference between resistance type sports and then the more aerobic sport, but this one's taking it a step further, and it's actually looking at the type of exercise involved for the sport. So comparing the amount of isometric, so dynamic exercise, to isotonic exercise. And running is predominantly isometric, but swimming apparently has a greater balance between the two.
Yeah, there are actually a couple of probably main differences between swimming and running, and when I say main differences, quite considerable differences. One of which is the fact that we're horizontal in the water and we're non-weight bearing. We're also using both our upper and lower limbs, and we simply just can't breathe as and when we want to as we can when we run.
This study from the University of Guelph took 8 Olympic and world-class level swimmers and then 8 elite runners to compare. And they made sure they hadn't done any exercise for the last 12 hours and they'd been fasted for 2. And the actual experiment itself involved no effort from the subjects. They just had to lie completely still, where they used a 2-dimensional echocardiogram to have a closer look at the heart, and they looked at the function and also the thickness of the heart walls.
Yeah, now the subjects' heart rates were actually recorded at rest, came in an average around 50 beats per minute, with the runner's heart rate at rest being slightly lower than the swimmers on average. Now, compared to the average person, the left-hand ventricle actually filled far more quickly per heartbeat. And again, that was increased in the runners when compared to the swimmers. And in theory, this would mean that the runners' hearts would fill more quickly and therefore be able to transport the blood more quickly to and from the heart and around the body than the swimmers.
Well, Professor Jamie Burr, who was leading on this study, claimed that swimmers' hearts obviously don't need to work so hard because of the gravity factor, so that they don't have to pump that blood. You know, they've not got to work against gravity to get the blood back from the muscles in your end of your lower limbs, for example, compared to runners who are obviously going to be in an upright position.
Yeah, now this also proves that our bodies are really quite sensitive to particular exercise and also to the sport-specific differences which can really impact that left ventricular function. And also, as a swimmer, could also suggest that actually adding some running to your training or even some land-based exercise could really actually help to improve that heart function and efficiency.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty good for us as triathletes, doesn't it? That, you know, we're benefiting our swimming by a bit of running, and I mean, who knows about cycling as well. Well, we want to know what you think makes you fitter as a sport. So do you think that it's swimming that makes you fitter? Is it running? Is it cycling even? Or maybe even another sport? You can enter the poll by clicking in the link just up here.
Is watching TV on the... We'll go with other. We're now moving back to last week's poll, and we asked, can Cam Wurf win Kona in 2019? And actually was quite close. So we had 42% of you saying yes, and 58% of you saying no. We had some great comments coming in. Now, Sebastian Alexandru Nikula said, is the poll for this year only? Yes, it is. I don't think for this year, but he has the talent/power to do it in one of the next years.
Yeah, well, quite a lot along those themes, but one here, a little bit sarcastic. Piece of cake, just beat Frodeno, Langer, Keenly, Brownlee, Gomez, Neuer, easy. That was from Creecho B.
Jan Hendrik Budinsky said, he was my prediction at the beginning of the year, but having to distance Sebi and Jan on the bike might break his neck on going onto the run once again. If he goes for the podium and teams up with the two on the bike, he might be able to beat the runners, but I think he's more of an all-in kind of racer.
So going too hard from the start might
maybe
hurt him in the long run. Tom Owl says, question is, can Cam pull off such a run, again on the same theme, if he pushes harder on the bike like he did in Kona? My money is on the German trio, Frodo, Langer and Keenly.
Yeah, and we had TR Beyond, or Try Beyond, said, yep, I've been saying Wurf is going to be a top contender all year. The fact he's racing as well as he is with all the racing he's been doing, which is a very good point because the guy races a lot, so just, consider what he might do when he freshens up and tapers for Kona. He significantly improved his run and has the career proving he knows how to win championships. I think he's got a real good shot.
Well, we're just going to have to wait a few months to find out, aren't we?
Well, now for the Try News, and we have stumbled across a rather interesting study. Now, this is probably a question that only a scientist would try to answer, and this is, why do we walk with straight arms but run with bent arms? And this automatically makes me think of Sun Yinji, who is a very accomplished Chinese marathon runner and is famously known for running with rather straight arms, but she's at the top of her game and obviously it works for her.
Yeah, but obviously the majority of runners, hence why we notice that, the majority of runners use bent arms, but then majority of us walk with straight. And this conundrum actually struck Andrew Yagan. He decided he was going to look into this and did an experiment comparing walking with straight and bent arms, and found that people are more efficient if you're walking with straight arms and you use less oxygen than you do if bent. So I guess that shows why most of us walk like that. But when it came to running, he measured the efficiency. It was actually came out equal, so there was no difference between running with bent arms and running with straight arms.
Now, they did come in to concede and finalise their research, saying that they don't really know why runners do run with bent arms, obviously, after their research, but they do think it may be down to something with sort of the balancing of the head and the balancing of the body, and they have admitted that all their research was currently done at one speed. So I think there's some further research that they would like to go into. Or, Heather, this is an opportunity for GTN Does Science.
I think so. Well, if you are even the slightest fan of road cycling, you will have noticed that we are in the middle of the world's most famous road race, the Tour de France. Well, Roca have decided that they want to join in on these celebrations as it is the 100th year of the yellow jersey, and they are now challenging you to get out on your bike and join the heroes on the road this July.
Yeah, now you have 1 month to do 100 kilometres. Do it successfully and you will earn yourself $50 to spend at roca.com. Get yourself some nice sunglasses like Heather and myself wear, and you'll get yourself an exclusive digital badge for your profile. Or go that one step further and complete 1,000 kilometers and you will get the limited edition Le Défi 100 woven patch for your account. And by doing all of this and completing the challenge and opting in, you'll be automatically entered into a competition to win some custom sunglasses that Team UAE's rider Dan Martin is wearing in this July.
Sweet.
Right, we've got an exciting bit of news here because, Heather, we have a new product to play with.
Yeah.
This is a set of swimming goggles with a smart display enabled within them from Form Athletica. Now, Form Athletica is basically a reborn Recon Instruments, and you may remember Recon for their ski goggles, which had a heads-up display within them. They also had their Recon Jet, which was a pair of cycling sunglasses, also with a heads-up display within them. But they had their limitations, partly because they were just sort of ahead of their time, way ahead of their time, in fact. But they saw a gap in the market for swimming.
Well, these are super exciting. They've got an augmented reality display. So it's still completely clear, but then this display, which stays in focus the whole time, is just there. You can kind of look through as own normal and ignore it, but then you can also focus on it. And as you can see here, they still look like a pretty normal pair of swimming goggles. And when you put them on, it is quite incredible how that display works. Now, it's got 16-hour battery life. I mean, I'm not going to do a 16-hour swim session, so it's more than ample with that. And it will display things such as your stroke rate, your stroke count, the distance that you swam, even your split time. So you can have all of this data whilst you're going up and down the pool.
Yeah, and I've actually been playing around with these in the office, and they are super easy to use and sort of look through and flick through the functions. I'm going to show you guys because it is rather impressive. There we go. Can you There he is. How cool is that?
They are pretty cool, and if you like the look of those, well, good news is they're actually going to be on sale from the 7th of August from Form's website for $200 a pair.
It's giveaway time, and this week we have some rather cool products, or should I say, cooling products from our channel partners Assos. We have one Millet GTNS jersey for the men.
And we have the Uma GTNS jersey for the women.
Yeah, now these are sleeveless jersey options, which are very lightweight and breathable for warm weather riding conditions and for those that may be very conscious of their tan and probably trying to avoid the farmer's tan that I'm often donning.
Well, in terms of material, these jerseys are using the super lightweight type textile, and then they've got these ultra drying mesh panels on the side. I mean, they're really lightweight, aren't they?
They really are.
And then on the collar, they've taken away the seam, so it just adds to that extra bit of comfort when you're getting a bit sweaty as well.
Yeah, now we're giving away one of each, so one Millet GTNS jersey for the men and one Uma GTNS jersey for the women. And to enter into that, you just need to go below this video into the description area, hit the link, and away you go. Best of luck. Well, now for the race news, and to kick things off, we had the inaugural Ironman Vitoria-Gasteiz. Now in the men's race, it was Josh Amberger that led the swim out with about a 1:20 advantage over Ealot Lanos, who is actually from Vitoria-Gasteiz. Ealot managed to ride with fellow countryman Peru Alfaro to bridge up to Josh Amberger. Then around the halfway point on the bike, Ealot and Josh Amberger managed to pull themselves clear, coming into T2 about a 10-minute advantage over Peru Alfaro. And then it was pretty much the Ealot Lanos show. He posted an astonishing 2 hours 46 for the marathon, finishing in 7 hours 55 and 16 seconds. Josh Amberger coming in second, and then Peru Alfaro rounding out the podium.
Well, in the women's race, it was Heather Jackson who had a lot of work to do after the swim. We know that's her weakest event. But Nina Deron and Judith Korakan made some serious impact on the bike, and it took quite a long time for Heather Jackson to actually catch them up. Not until 100k into the bike leg did she managed to start to break away, but pretty rapidly, because by the time of T2, she had a 6-minute lead on the chasers and then continued to open that up to take the overall win. And then it was Nina Deron who had the stronger marathon run to finish second, and Judith Korakan who finished third. And if it's great to see the performance of Heather Jackson. If you want to see where she's come from as an age grouper to now be winning these top pro Ironman races, we have got a video which we'll share with you at the end of this.
Well, next race we had is Ironman 70.3 Astana, which looked like a very cool race to do, actually. In the men's race, it was Nils Fromhold that came out of the water just behind Felipe Azevedo and Mattia Cesarelli. Onto the bike, it was Nils and Cesarelli that managed to pull away at around the 70k point on Azevedo, coming to T2 with a little bit of advantage. Nils very quickly pulled ahead of Cesarelli, having about a minute advantage by 5 kilometers, looking very in control, and went on to take that title. However, there's a bit of a change for second and third, because Azevedo managed to post a 1:15 half marathon run split, bringing himself through to second place, with Mattia Cesarelli taking third.
Well, in the women's, it was Radka Kalfat who came out of the water first and looked in good shape, but she actually lost that lead by 28k into the bike as Susie Cheetham came through and actually held on to that advantage going into T2. Kalfat dropped back into third as Lisa Hautala had a strong bike as well to come into T2 in second. Now, that position, though, didn't last for very long because Radka Kalfat soon overtook both Hautala and Cheetham by the 12k marker of the half marathon and didn't look back. So she finished with the win. The battle then was for second and third, and Susie Cheetham managed to hold on for the second place, but it was Sarah Pampiano who overtook Hautala to take the third place.
Well, final bit of race news we have is from Titivaris ITU World Cup. Now, this is a really exciting format because we have the semi-finals on one day and then the finals on the final day. And this is all over a sprint distance format. So you can expect the finishes to be really quite exciting, with literally just a second or two separating the top 5 or top 10 of the finishers. Now, in the men's race, it was Eli Hemming that took the win. We had Ryan Fisher taking second and then Wayne Sulvard taking third.
In the women's race, it was ridiculously close because Emma Jeffcoat took the win in a time of 59 minutes 28 seconds, and then the next 3 athletes all tied on 59.29, but the actual final placings went to second place to Sarah Village and third was Kellyanne Perkins. All right, it's time to have a look at some of your brilliant photos you sent in this week. And starting us off, we've got one from Andy from Girdwood, Alaska. Now, this is kind of on par with Fraser's epic efforts at Kaltman. He completed his first extreme triathlon, and the swim was 9 degrees when he got in, and then it was 3 to 4 degrees by the exit. I mean, I don't know how he's even still functioning. The bike was amazingly scenic, 180k, and then the run leg had 30k solo before meeting up support runner for the last part, which was 2 times up Mount Alyeska.
Which I have no idea how steep Mount Alyeska is, or Alyeska, but it's a mountain for starters, so that sounds pretty tough.
I mean, if you can still do that after those freezing temperatures, really impressive.
Well, hats off to you for that. That is serious effort. John from Waterville, County Kerry, sent in a photo from Hardman Half, and this is an amazing drone shot of the swimmers in the water. I mean, just amazing, isn't it?
But yes, this is an island. I mean, it looks kind of like somewhere.
It does tropical,
like
doesn't
some
it?
tropical island, doesn't it?
Absolutely
Beautiful.
amazing. Hardman Half, that's on my bucket list now.
Next one is from Chris, and this is another beautiful swim shot from Lake Annecy in France. Did his first triathlon outside the UK back in 2011 and has competed there quite a few times since, and partly for this spectacular swim and spectator friendly.
I've heard some good things about that race, or just training around that area in general, so yeah. Andy has sent in a picture of his pain cave, which is just the back of his garage apparently, but it looks very good to me.
He plays it very humble with this.
He's got his Trek Speed concept there and a giant TCR Advanced Pro. He said, we keep it simple here in New Zealand. Andy, honestly, you do not need to apologise. This is very impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, all sorts going on there. He's got his, Wahoo Kicker, TV.
So, and a fan, and selective finisher medals, obviously done a lot of races. Well, great to see that one.
But this last one I really liked. I felt I had to include this one. This is from Nathan in Baltimore. Now, he has been training really hard for a upcoming triathlon, but unfortunately had to go away with work.
I think it was his first triathlon.
Yeah, it was his first triathlon. Had to go away with work last minute, meaning he was going to actually miss this triathlon. Anyway, he packed his car up just in case he might make it home in time, but along with his turbo trainer, fan and everything, just in case he would have to do it whilst he was away. So he ended up doing a triathlon, the same distance that he planned to do, within his hotel.
Yeah, apparently he booked into a hotel that had a 15-metre swimming pool, and then, so he did his exact distance in the pool, and then ran up through the lobby to his room to get on his bike while still dripping wet, and then do the full distance, and then, I guess, head out the door for the run.
Yeah, and I'm sure he would have got a few funny looks from the hotel staff, but congratulations on that.
Dedication.
Brilliant effort. Well, now time for the caption competition, and last week's photo was of Alex Yee and Richard Murray at WTS Hamburg coming across the finish line looking rather confused or unhappy. We had some great captions coming in. First one from Dom Lewis said, "Ye of little faith."
Yeah, next one from Owen Steer, another runner up here, says, "Coach, I said 10 400s, not 2 400s.
Joseph Daly said, "Bike crash? What can you do?"
But this week, our winner and the winner of a GTN cap goes to George Fitzpatrick Morgan, and there was quite a few along these lines. You win some, you lose some.
Very good. Well, you are the winner. Get in touch over Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, and we'll send this over to you. But now for this week's caption comp photo, and this one comes from Ironman Bolton over this weekend. And this photo is of Brian Fogarty, who is an absolute mega biker, and he actually won the overall age group division at this race and looking rather chilled on the finish line. So yeah, please do send in your captions for this photo. Leave it in the comment section below.
Well, that's it for this week's show, but don't forget to enter the caption competition and also the Assos giveaway. Plenty of things to win in this week's show, but if you want to guarantee that you can actually get your hands on something yourself, you can always visit our GTN shop, and remember to hit the thumbs up button if you've enjoyed it, and the globe to make sure you get all of our videos here at GTN.
Yeah, and if you'd like to see our Rise of Heather Jackson video, seeing her coming from actually ice hockey, age group triathlon, all the way up to one of the best pro triathletes in the world, you can see that by clicking just down here.
And now we're well into the thick of the triathlon season. If you've got an open water event coming up and want some tips, we've got a video with plenty of ideas from Jerry Rodriguez, and that's just down here.